If Donald Trump was president, would the Russia-Ukraine war have been avoided? So I don't think that it's unreasonable to say that Donald Trump is one of the most polarizing figures of our generation. There are pockets of people that absolutely love him and pockets of people that absolutely hate him. And it seems that there isn't too much middle ground between those two groups. We saw evidence of this when he became president of the United States, and all of America seemed to be the most divided that it had been in potentially centuries. I also don't think it's unreasonable to say that Donald Trump likes attention. His account is permanently suspended right now, but one peek at his old Twitter profile will indicate that he certainly likes to be in the public eye. Well, currently the public is paying very close attention to what is going on in Ukraine right now. And considering Donald Trump likes attention, getting involved in this conversation is certainly something that would interest him. Which is pretty much exactly what he's done. At a CPAC gathering in Florida only hours after the United States announced they would be implementing heavy sanctions on Russia, Trump had some choice words for the circumstances the world finds itself in. He said, and I quote, "The Russian attack on Ukraine is appalling. We are praying for the proud people of Ukraine. God bless them all, as everyone understands this horrific disaster would have never happened if our election was not rigged and if I was the president." Also in this speech, he claims that the reason Russia has decided to invade now is because Biden is weak, and therefore Putin decided to take advantage of his weakness. So is any of this actually true? Donald Trump has said a lot of things and made a lot of claims that are just simply categorically false, but is this one of them? Would this invasion have actually ever even taken place if Donald Trump was still president? Well, first off, we need to understand why this invasion is even happening to see if Trump would have played a role in stopping it or not. Russia has wanted Ukraine for a long time. Ukraine has not wanted Russia though. Ever since the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, Ukraine has been its own separate nation. This was after a landslide victory where the public in Ukraine voted to gain their independence. Since this point, Russia has never felt that Ukraine is actually its own nation though. They've publicly stated many times that they are simply an extension of Russia. They have also made it clear publicly many times that they should be a part of Russian territory. A lot of this has to do with history because Ukraine, for a large part of its existence, has been under Russian control. The Russian culture is deeply tied with the Ukrainian one, and many people that live in Ukraine can trace their lineage back to one that originated in a Russian-controlled territory. This may be the case, but obviously it's not a valid cause to invade and claim this country as your own, as Putin is trying to do right now. And those last two words are very important in answering this question. Right now. Why is this happening right now, and what was the cause of this invasion, and does it actually have anything to do with the United States president? Well, one of the biggest things that has caused this invasion is Ukraine's increasingly friendly relationship with NATO. NATO is the powerful alliance of many Western countries that have agreed to support each other under threat of war and invasion. If Ukraine ever became part of NATO, then a Russian attack on Ukraine would mean a Russian attack on all of NATO, which would then cause all of those alliance countries to fight back against said invasion. Russia very clearly didn't want this, as it would make Ukraine almost impossible for them to ever capture without starting World War III, and it would also truly validate them as their own independent nation. Russia is also at a pretty good place right now as a country, and I think that Putin thought it was sort of a now or never thing if he was to ever capture Ukraine. So, with that being said, would Trump have changed this, or is Biden to blame? Well, no and no. Or at least I don't think so. We obviously can't say with 100% accuracy what would have or wouldn't have happened if Trump was president instead of Biden. Is it possible that if Trump was president, this wouldn't have happened? Yes, it is, because there are so many other variables to consider. But frankly, it probably wouldn't have changed the outcome at all. Now, it should be noted that Trump did have a far better relationship with Putin than Biden does. They were a lot more buddy-buddy than what we've seen since he left office. However, I highly doubt that their camaraderie would have stopped or slowed Putin down from his end goal of retaking Ukraine. The whole inciting incident of Ukraine pushing harder to get into NATO was instigated mainly mainly by Ukraine as well, for fear of the Russian invasion. Rob Garver puts it pretty well when he writes, Michael O'Hanlon, director of research at the Brookings Institution and author of the book Beyond NATO, A New Secret Architecture for Eastern Europe, disagreed with the idea that Putin was somehow cowed by Trump. The only reason that Putin might not have wanted to do this were Trump in office wouldn't have been out of fear of Trump, O'Hanlon told VOA. It would have been affection for Trump and not wanting to do this on the watch of his fellow strongmen. While noting that Putin bears 100% of the moral responsibility for the conflict in Ukraine, O'Hanlon said that the roots of Putin's security concerns about Russia's neighbor and NATO's eastward expansion run very deep. They extend through the administrations of multiple US presidents, during which time the alliance grew significantly and absorbed multiple states of the former Soviet Union. Trying to reduce Putin's reasons for action to a change in US administrations, he suggested, was at best an oversimplification. I think that the last thing he writes there is very fitting. An oversimplification. It is very easy to look back at things and go, oh, well, if that didn't happen, then this would have happened, or vice versa. But there's simply no way that we can chalk up this deep-seated, long-coming European war as a byproduct of the American election. The American president, who they are, what they stand for, and all of that will obviously have ripple effects throughout the world, but there are some things that are just coming down the pipe regardless, and I think that this was one of them. I also think that it should be noted that turning what is going on in Ukraine into a political tactic to gain favor among the public is a very insensitive move by Donald Trump. Civilians are fighting for their lives right now across the world, and to take that scenario and make it about you shows why he wasn't re-elected in the first place. But please guys, comment down below what you think about all of this. Whenever politics and war is concerned, opinions can become very heated, so let's make sure that we keep the comment section a safe space where everybody can voice their thoughts. Regardless of what side you sit on or what you believe, I'd still love to hear from you, because having more of these conversations is ultimately what makes us all more understanding in the long run. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.